Good afternoon to one and all present here. I welcome the panelists and audience to today's panel discussion under Northeast Research Conclave 2022. I am Dipit Patwari, an undergraduate student from IIT Guwahati, and I'll be the moderator for today's panel discussion. I would like to welcome the panelists on the stage, please. So, this panel discussion aims to uplift the R&D and entrepreneurship ecosystem of Northeast through the open floor meeting amongst the Northeast Grassroot Innovators, prospective entrepreneurs of Northeast region, government officials, and heads of the institute. First of all, I would like to request the panel members to please introduce themselves.
I'm Kaviraj. I'm in my third year doing my BTech here at IIT Guwahati itself. I opened my startup back in second year, and I'm working on creating innovative social tech in a number of domains, including in healthcare or making a new device that's for Braille, that's in Braille for blind students, and I'm hoping to work with the government and other spaces in the future as well.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dr. V.K. Rai. I'm Scientist F in Technology Development Board, Department of Science and Technology. I'm looking after the commercialization of various projects, funding through the government, and also looking at the national awards which is distributed by the government to be given on Technology Day, which is 11th May every year. Besides this, I have experience of handling defense projects. Past about 3-4 years, I've handled defense projects and innovators and funding through Ministry of Defense for young innovators under defense schemes.
Good afternoon all. My name is Rajiv Saikia, a startup incubated at IIT Guwahati, RD Grow Green India Private Limited. We are working on water and wastewater. We used to treat water contaminated with arsenic, fluoride, or industrial effluent or drilling effluent without any chemical. This is the innovation. For this only, IIT Guwahati, GAIL India Limited and Oil India Limited are shareholder in the company. Thank you.
Hello everybody, I'm Rajiv Agarwal. I'm Chief Executive Officer of a road technology company called Bitchem. We started our journey in 2008 and we got funded by TDP in 2018, and we're the first company from Northeast to get funded on this. It's basically a pollution-free road technology where the road life is increasing by almost 50%, and till date we have done more than 9,000 kilometers using this technology in various parts of the country. Our company is from Assam.
Myself, Manik Agarwal. I am CEO from Elephant Industries, and we started EV vehicle manufacture in Guwahati, 2, 3 and 4 wheelers, and also display in this one.
So now we'll be having the opening remark from our panelists. I request our panelists to please go through. To give the opening remark and tell us what they think about the ideas of the topic. That is regarding R&D and entrepreneurship ecosystem of Northeast.
Yeah, so in terms of entrepreneurship, I think I can speak since I started building prototypes, ideation and different projects in my second year itself. Yeah. So I think till developing technology, whatever purpose is it, whatever I have identified on my own, it is fine. But then I feel there is this small gap. There is this gap where I'm not sure where do I go, who do I approach for my ideas or anything. So till we develop the tech, I think it's fine. And even in IITG itself, I'm seeing students or other people. They are building stuff. They are building products, but again, they don't know where it fits. Maybe if so I think in terms of this, if we had a more open communication with the government and the industry in terms of problem statements, maybe not specific problem statements but a little more general in nature, where we can ideate it ourselves and come up with solutions, or maybe at least industry can approach us with proof of concept type of requirements where the skill set that's required is kind of low, so we can handle that. I think a little bit connection will help. And otherwise, in terms of entrepreneurship, I think it's great. At least here in campus, the ecosystem is beautiful.
I'll speak once we hear more about the startups and their pain points, because I'm representing an organization, a government scheme which funds commercialization of prototypes and their development. So let me first hear from some of the pain points that the startups have, the grassroots innovators have, and thereafter maybe I can cover some aspects of that.
So I'll just share some bit of my journey. Maybe that will be an eye-opener, and certain corrections have already happened by the government that came in 2014. The startup ecosystem got formalized. When we started, frankly, we had to dig into the family money to do our R&D and get into the pilot trials into the market. We worked very closely with Central Road Research Institute. But the gap that I find largely for MSMEs, there is no dedicated R&D support for product development or for technology development. So say if I am a running concern and we want to develop a product which is an innovative product and we want to get in touch with the academia, the best that comes as a resource is maybe the academia approaches the DST, and that funding may take 6 months or 1 year depending on whether the project is selected or not. But if we could fast track industrial innovation, that will need support from the government, and like TDB has a system that if they are funding you at a lower rate of interest, they are also charging royalty on your sales. So something like that could be a mechanism for also development of the products, so that the market could get faster innovations, which will meet the requirements of the market. So I think this is one gap which is still there. Otherwise, the seed fund, the ideation grants for the startups have already started coming in. Somewhere the MSME is missed in this entire game plan. So I think the next step has to be how the MSMEs can be brought into the R&D ecosystem of the country. Thank you.
गुड आफ्टरनून। आपको जैसे मैंने बताया, मेरा नाम राजीव सैकिया है। राजीव सैकिया यहीं का ही हूँ, लेकिन बसा हुआ हूँ दिल्ली में। पेन पॉइंट यहाँ का मेरे को पता था। मैं हिंदी में बोलूँ, कंफर्टेबल है सब लोग? ठीक। पेन पॉइंट यहाँ का पता था कि पानी में कोई प्रॉब्लम है और मैं चाहता था कि कुछ करूँ। कभी चांस नहीं मिला कि मैं वहाँ से, या मेरी फैमिली वहाँ सेटल्ड है। लेकिन 2016 में जब स्टार्टअप आया और उसी साल रफली कोई हर महीने यहाँ पे आके पानी के ऊपर रिसर्च करता था। somehow I got entry to IIT और वहाँ से मेरी जर्नी शुरू हुई। दिसंबर 2016 में I was incubated at IIT Guwahati under chemical engineering department, प्रोफेसर मिही कुमार पुकेट, प्रोफेसर शाह, उन लोगों के साथ जो मैंने शुरू किया था वो स्टार्टअप इंडिया का नया वो था, हम भी नए थे। So our company was the first company which was basically supported by Oil India Limited. Oil India Limited was first PSC to support Startup India, and we were selected, two companies were selected and we were one of them. So in February 27 we were selected by Oil India Limited and fortunate enough to get the funding from them. मतलब मेरी किस्मत इतनी अच्छी थी कि जब जैसे जैसे काम बढ़ाते गया मैं सपोर्ट मेरे को मिलता गया. During my course of time I was able to basically sign GAIL India Limited also. So मेरी जर्नी स्मूथली चल रही, लेकिन आईआईटी में आने के बाद एज ए स्टार्टअप पॉलिसी के हिसाब से बहुत चैलेंजेस हुई थी. सबसे मेन चैलेंजेस था कि सप्लाई चेन, कहाँ से क्या सामान लेना है क्या नहीं लेना है, स्किल मैन पावर जो सबसे मेरे को बहुत बड़ी चैलेंज है आज के डेट में, डेट इज वन ऑफ द मेन चैलेंज, स्किल मैन पावर। बाकी तो अपने ऊपर है कि जब ओखल में सर दिया है तो मुसल से क्या डरना वाली बात है कि आप कितनी मेहनत कर सकते हैं और कैसे आपको आगे बढ़ना है, बढ़ना तो आपको खुद ही है। थैंक यू।
कहता हूँ कि इसमें IIT अगर हेल्प करे तो ये चीज़ यहाँ लोकली डेवलप कर सकते हैं। अभी एज ऑन डेट हम लोग टोटल इसके स्ट्रक्चर इंडिया में बना रहे हैं, खाली 4 आइटम उससे छोड़ दिया। वन इज ब्रशलेस मोटर्स, सेकेंड इज कॉल्ड कंट्रोलर, और 2 आइटम जो यहाँ इंडिया में नहीं बनी, जो हमें इम्पोर्ट करनी पड़ती है। इसके अंदर चाइनीज ऐसा कुछ चिप्स लगा रहे हैं जिससे ये ओनली चीज़ डेवलपर हम लोग नहीं बना पा रहे हैं। तो ये चीज़ IIT इंस्टीट्यूट तो मैं यहाँ फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट दे सकता हूँ, तो उसके ऊपर R&D कर देते हैं।
Thank you so much, sir. Now coming to the more specific topic. I'm sorry.
So there are the country at present is at a stage where we are trying to stabilize the startup ecosystem, and we are also trying to make things formally acceptable, institutionalize the support mechanism that the government is trying to provide to the startup ecosystem here. So initially, like I was associated with the defense startup ecosystem for about close to 3 years. Defense was one sector where nobody tries to venture because it's a high value items and the technology is very niche, and there are no indigenous firms or very few who are working in the sectors where defense requirements are. So defense for quite a few years or decades has largely remained dependent on the imports. And like you must have all heard, few months back we heard from Honorable Raksha Mantri that import of certain items under defense has been stopped, and there is a need for indigenous industry to come up with the requirements to produce those items for defense requirements. Similarly, there are other small things which are being manufactured by local indigenous industry, either under a TOT with a foreign company or entirely under indigenous support system. So things have started moving. Parallelly, we also have our larger startup ecosystem growing, not just for defense but for civil as well as dual use technologies. And government has started number of schemes where at least the seed funding can be provided. So after seeing the kind of growth that was expected out of seed support which is being given to the startups individually, independently, we realized that there is a lot to be done more to institutionalize this whole process. And that is when DST pitched in, and Department of Science and Technology started the system of funding incubators. So we have good incubators who keep a number of mentors, vertical specialists and subject matter experts who can guide the startups, fine-tune their problem statement and ensure that they are all the time aligned to the requirements, the product development, and whatever requirements they have in terms of say testing, validation or fine-tuning their reports, all that requirement is provided and facilitated by the incubators which are there. So initially, to start with, most of these incubators were housed within premises of academia, and we are very happy that the startup incubators which were a part of the academia and still are really performing very well. Recently, you must have heard in the news that Delhi has surpassed all the expectations, and it has become now the startup capital, startup hub of the country. And we've crossed more than 50,000 startups, more than 100 unicorns now. So we see that yes, definitely the startups who are very much aligned with the goal and are taking advantage of the system that has been developed and supported by the government are flourishing and they are doing well. So all in all, we are in very, very challenging times, and we are seeing that change. And we are happy to see the kind of participation of academia as well as industry which is pitching. I remember a lot of defense PSUs who pitched in for inviting certain small products requirement which can be dovetailed to make a larger product, and many such small things are being made by small time startups, indigenous startups, and they are supplying to Bell, to HAL, to BHAL, and all these PSUs and defense PSUs, and that is how the entire ecosystem is slowly becoming more and more robust. We would love to hear more from the audience, the kind of problems that startups and young entrepreneurs are facing, and we'll try to devise mechanism how the government can improvise the schemes and try and modify the schemes to support our indigenous startup ecosystem more robust. There was a system started a few years back which is called ATLs, Atal Tinkering Labs. This was precisely the same concepts of what you are supporting. With this aim, the Atal Tinkering Labs started. So, like yesterday, we had Professor Ranil Gupta, who was speaking in the same very room, and he was talking about how the concept of tinkering labs started. Is that he had visited the Ladakh region, and there one of the young class student, his name was Rafiq, and he pointed out, he said, sir, when the fan goes bad, not everything in the fan goes bad. And this is the statement he made to professor. And it was a very, very powerful statement that yes, definitely, when anything goes bad, not 100% of things or components in that item goes bad. So with this, what he started, they set up a small room in their school where all the people were told that whatever items, electronic items are not working in their houses, in their household, in their family, friends' houses, collect them and get them to that room. And what these boys did, that eventually after opening everything and fiddling with those things, they came out with certain good things out of that, and they could make certain things, workable models out of those items. So this is obviously, like you said, it may not result into a startup, but this at least give them an opportunity to play around with science, play around with things that they are learning in their textbook. What is a brushless DC motor? What is an axial flow meter? And what are these? How these meters are working? What kind of a bucket-shaped turbine is there inside, which tells you how much water has flown? So these are very, very small concepts. This not only makes them more interested in learning about science, but also gives them an idea that yes, eventually when they cross 12th, they get into institutes like IITs and NITs. It gives them a bent of mind where they would like to improvise and innovate things, and that is what is needed. So what these institutes are doing is a really very good thing, and we should definitely have a institutionalized mechanism to support this kind of initiative. So DST has the grant being given to the incubators, and even TDB had given, once upon a time we had funded about 36 startup incubators. We had given them one-time grant for setting all these facilities, and DST has supported again number of incubators to support this kind of things and procure certain small machineries which can at least teach them about what is a 3D printing, what is a laser cutting technology, what is a gas cutting technology, what are different types of welding, basically things which are generally taught in ITIs and which are just to start with, just to give you a first glimpse of what technology is about and how technology intervention can improve your product. So there are these systems available. Atal Innovation Mission has got a number of schemes which are going on parallelly for supporting growth of science, promoting science, and Department of Science. I'll be happy to connect further based on the requirement with the Department of Science. Sure.
Thank you, sir. Now coming to the more specific topics, my first question would be regarding the high abundance of biodiversity in Northeast India. The Northeast has an abundance of natural resources. So how can we organize and make most use out of these resources sustainably? And also, how can we take the help of indigenous people from the same? We could hear it from all our panelists, please.
So while as an entrepreneur I am stuck to the current idea and I need to make it commercially successful, but yes, we do track what are the other developments that could be done based on the Northeast bioresource. One of the biggest bioresource with us is bamboo for the Northeast, and bioenergy is an area which is coming up in a big way. So how biomass could be used for as simple as pellet industry to go into the boiler fuel. People are using coal. How instead of coal, biomass could be used as a fuel. I think that itself needs a big championing of the cause, which is already happening in other parts of the country, but it also needs to be done here. The other big resource for us is water. The Brahmaputra is flooding our land, erosion is happening. While the engineering teams, they need to take care that we don't get eroded on the soil. I think we all need to understand that semiconductor is a big water guzzler. So somehow why semiconductor fab shops are not being proposed in Assam or Northeast needs to be spoken at the national level, so that we could identify and bring those kind of facilities also. The fab shops could come to Assam, and the horticulture definitely gives a lot of scope to food processing. When we talk about ginger, turmeric, banana, jackfruit, jackfruit is going into cattle feed, but jackfruit is such a, it's almost organic or wild. No one uses fertilizer, for a jackfruit tree. So in all perspective, you can call it a wild resource, and lot of potential there again to develop entrepreneurship who could encash on these raw material, which is growing in the backyard of the home for most of the villages. This is from me. Maybe you would like to come.
Yeah, regarding this Brahmaputra river, last time with the help of final we visited Japan, 10 members. तो वहाँ मैंने देखा कि small rivers जो है वहाँ में हाइडल प्लांट लगे हुए हैं 5 megawatt, 10 megawatts. So that Brahmaputra river we can use. If the government of Assam help us, then we can use the same method. So अभी हमें electricity power grid से खरीदनी पड़ रही है या NERC से है, तो then we get capable that we have our own energy.
It's a very, very capital intensive business, and I can only at this time divulge that government is discussing this matter at a very, very high level. Because very capital intensive, therefore government has to pitch in with certain schemes, and semiconductor lab, Chandigarh, some organizations within IIT Powai. I know of these organizations are working very, very closely in order to take it up, how to have the semiconductor manufacturing within our country. And we've been able to achieve about 300 microns level wafers. We are yet to go to that 180 nanometer and eventually 30 nanometer, 28 nanometer, around that range, where the top Korean companies and Chinese are. So we need to invest a lot into this semiconductor manufacturing. But nevertheless, it's too early to preempt and say that it should come in Northeast or Brahmaputra can be. Definitely Brahmaputra is a big resource for water and surgery. The fab industry requires a lot of water. But other aspects which the Northeast can be promoted is what was started by Honorable Prime Minister some time back, that vocal for local. That is where we need to catch those things and try and utilize. So what is being locally grown here should be promoted, and thereafter it can be proliferated to other parts of the country. For instance, again, quoting yesterday a very beautiful lecture which was covered by Professor Anil Gupta. He mentioned about a rice which is grown only in Assam, which does not require cooking. You just have to soak it in water and can eat it. Now that was a revelation to me and to most of the audience. I didn't hear anyone who could say that yes, they know anything of that sort. So these are the things that we need to promote, which are locally being grown. Often what happens is that we get entangled into a copyright or a IP or intellectual property rights, and then we try to before anything goes into the market, we try to first have a patent on that. And in the whole bargain, the product does not see light of the day. So, while yes, we respect IP, we should have proprietary rights, we should have protection of the IPs and copyrights. At the same time, let's not have the process be an impediment in growth of that particular product. So if the product has to come up and is locally being seen, let the product come up. Copyright, IPs, etc. can parallelly go on, but let the product at least go. Let it move to other states. Let other people also come to know that there are some unique applications of bamboo, bamboo shoots, bamboo trees, bamboo leaves. Everything can be utilized into making very, very innovative and multiple products. I recall more than about 2 decades back, some 25 years back, we went to Egypt and they used to give us papyrus paintings. So papyrus is the from where the word paper has been derived, and they do the painting on papyrus and they show it to you right in front of you how out of papyrus plant paper is made and how they do some painting and they sell it. Now these are the things which are promoted as part of tourism in that country. But similar to papyrus, even the banana trunks are used for making similar kind of paintings over that banana leaf, banana trunk. Entire thing is made in the same process. Now that is something that we are yet to capture, especially in the areas where banana trees are abundant. Even in that place, we are not able to diversify our product into making very, very innovative things out of banana trees, banana leaves. So yes, definitely we should be looking at what is locally being grown, where we have a mastery, and try and promote that. Another example I would like to give all the panel members and guests who've come. They are being given some memento in a small handbag made out of hyacinth, I think. Now that's something which is again locally being grown here, and they have made that product. Now the product does not bear anything which says that it's locally being grown. We would proudly like to display this in our offices that look, this is the unique thing of Assam. Probably sometimes when the delegates from foreign come and they want to visit Northeast, we would mention it to them that look, when you go to Assam, please go to this place. They grow this thing. It is grown in locally in that area only. It's only found in shallow water ponds, and hyacinth is grown, and from that they make this kind of bags, which have a very, very which are last longing, and these are biodegradable, so it doesn't cause any pollution to you. So these are the ways that we need to have eye for detail, look for oddities in the society around us, in the nature around us, and try and capitalize on those aspects where we have mastered that art. So I'm very, very happy that I'm here today as part of this program, and I'm getting an exposure to what all Northeast brings, and it's so diverse in culture, it's so diverse in traditions, and we can master so many things. Even this particular thing is very, very unique to the Northeast and to Assam, and people proudly display these things in their offices, in their showrooms, and people who come from abroad, they love to take these things. We would like a small write-up on what is unique about these things. Why are these things unique? You see terracotta paintings. There are hundreds of things which have a GI tag. They have got a specific, they are grown locally, they are produced locally, they are marketed locally, and they have a very low shelf life, some of the things. So let us learn to sort of promote and be more vocal for these local things. And that's how we think probably we'll have more Northeast shining and Northeast rising thing coming up.
It was really good to have your ideas, sir. Now we could be talking about nurturing the young minds. Premium institutes in the Northeast, such as IIT Guwahati, multiple NITs from different states, also Tezpur University, Nigrims, Shillong, they are providing excellent education to the young minds here. But what are your thoughts about how such institutions can encourage the young youth and contribute towards promoting startup culture in this region?
So, as he said, young minds, I think we have a lot of capability here, even in this institute, we are seeing a lot of capability. And I believe that for an idea to go to a product, if you're in an industry and you want fresh ideas, then I believe that develop just proof of concept or just basic proofs, you don't need to deploy your expertise, your very skilled workforce over there. You can give it to us students. We can ideate on a lot of things. Like let's say even I was interested in getting into military. I have different ideas, like it could be a different kind of suspension linkage system, whatever it is. So these basic proofs we can establish and then we can present it to the industry. Even if they give us general problem statement, we can present it to them and then they can maybe collaborate with us and take it forward. So in terms of just the raw number of ideas and the scale at which we are showing innovation, we can bring a lot to the table. And then with expertise from the industry, its use case and other things can be identified. Yeah, again, in terms of startup culture, this process of identification of the problem statements and others, it could help us make startups. And I believe that in the curriculum itself, the education curriculum, if we have courses in our third year or maybe fourth year that are encouraging some type of project that is slightly integrated with the industry, then students can get that confidence ki okay, I can maybe take this forward as a startup. Even if it's not the same idea, they get to know some processes and they are more comfortable. At least those mental barriers are removed and yes.
Adding to what sir you just mentioned, I recall when I was in IIT Kharagpur doing my masters and subsequently PhD, we used to have regular experts visit and they used to come and cover certain aspects of their business. So it could be entrepreneurship, it could be talking about some very, very niche technology, and occasionally that annual 3-4 days program that we used to have, during that certainly there used to be a number of guest lectures and most of them some motivating lectures and all. But during rest of the period, throughout the year, there used to be regular visits by experts. Most of them used to be our alumni, and they used to cover certain aspects, how they have moved on from what they learned, and from that what they made and how they diversified or moved on to something else. And it's a great learning for the students. Probably most of them also follow similar track somewhere, and whenever they fail, they know that yes, everyone has passed through this stage. I'll also fail, I'll rise again, be more stronger next time. And what I would sort of request the institutes, young NITs and IITs, that probably continue with that culture. Please feel free to invite experts who could talk about innovation, who could talk about the government schemes which are there, maybe DST representatives, Niti Aayog representatives. Maybe we can have Professor Anil Gupta kind of people coming more often and talking about grassroots innovation, how to work in this domain, how to arouse your interest for working in this and application of science. And I'm sure that will be of immense benefit to students to learn and shape their career ahead of this.
So grassroots awareness is required, because today also I had a talk with almost 5 students of IIT Guwahati. They even don't know what is TIC, what happens in TIC. So this is really surprising. So means Diyatale Andhera. We have got a technology incubation center, we have got a bionest, we have got other entrepreneurship cell also, but students are not aware of the things. Maybe they are more focused to their PhD degree or MTech degree, but entrepreneurship, to reach the 5 trillion mark, each and every person has to focus on that also. So awareness on grassroots level, the way sir told, we have to call experts for panel discussions or from the industry or from the ministry, that is more required, sir.
So I'll just look at it from a different perspective, sir. I think one of our panelists, you are in third year, you have a startup. Can we have a round of applause for him? Like I could never imagine that one of the panelists would be a third year student having a startup. I think this is changing in India, right? Earlier, doing business was linked to the family, doing business was linked to the political support you have, doing business was linked to the money you can bring. So here at least we see changes when Mr. Rajiv Sekia, he has come in 2016, a round of applause for him, that he's come forward with his idea, taken dip into the Startup India movement. So I think while there could be some gaps which could be definitely closed with awareness programs, on the startup ecosystem, there's so much happening that no one can be missed actually. Only those could be missed who are hell-bent that they don't want to get into a startup. Otherwise there's so much of peer pressure that people need to, even going for a job, they will first write in their CV, had one startup, failed, now applying for the job. So at least that becomes a big credential that the person knows how to build up, how to build an enterprise. So failing in a startup does not mean anything, but it only gains you more exposure than a job. So on that front, I feel enough is being done in India. And even now with the seed fund availability from Startup India, plus other state governments coming up with seed funds, it's just matter of time. With social media, so much of pressure is there on the governments, on the leaders, that they need to deliver. Now Delhi is talking about bringing a startup policy. Our Honorable CM Assam, he just spoke that he doesn't want a cautious startup policy. He wants an aggressive startup policy. So all this is coming in and creating a lot of opportunities for the youngsters, whether IIT, NIT, government college, anywhere. I think what we need is that a spirit to just dive into it. Thank you.
Same as graduate.
Thank you.
So now talking about sustainability and resources, it is the need of the hour globally. How can we promote more startups to solve the problems related to sustainability, considering it is a time-taking and research-intensive field? Any of our panelists, please? Regarding sustainability of resources, could we have some ideas of startups where these resources can be used sustainably?
Let me attempt that. Let me attempt this question. I think the change that we wanted has already started happening. So already we have number of incubators in every state coming up. There are government-based subsidized schemes which are there for the incubators. I've been to a couple of incubators where the startups are being given free AC, free Wi-Fi. They have certain access to few laptops and desktops. They're being given some small cubicle to at least start working on their software-based programs, and yes, access to certain softwares also. And some of the startups also are given a small testing and trials room where they can validate a small prototype that they make. So a change that we expect and we want has already started happening. Probably the government is putting at the right place, investing at the right place, and that's how we already are seeing the changes happening. Every institute also has now the labs which are dedicated for facilitating the incubation centers or their research parks to sort of send their students and utilize the facilities of within that academia premises. So I feel it's just a matter of time. Of course, with a good mindset, we can accelerate the process. But the change that we desire is already happening, and we are going to have very soon more and more robust startup ecosystem in the country.
Next, we could be talking about what are the benefits and hurdles in opening a business in the Northeast. What could be the hurdles that could be in this place?
I think why don't you start and then I will supplement, sir. So I think one learning I have had, while I come from a business family, we are, Northeast focused. As a startup, if you are making something, don't make in Northeast, but make for India, and if possible, make for the world. Don't make for a limited geography, because conditions are different, mindset is different, choices are different, requirements are different. So you need to do adequate market research and place your investment in such a way, because at the end of the day, you are not going to be a startup lifelong. You are going to come into the banking mechanism. You need to pay your loans. You cannot become a NPA. You cannot get a black spot. So you have to pivot. You have to pivot, and you have to see how you are able to give your loan back to the agency. So my only suggestion is that whatever you do, don't just focus. Northeast is a great place to be in, to be located. A great place to do test trials, pilot. Be a startup here. But when you talk about scale up has to be pan-India. I think that mindset has to come in the Northeast people. So.
Benefits, it's a basically developing market. Pain point, I have seen what are the pain point in my domain, and that's the reason I am here from Delhi. I was in Delhi throughout my life. For the last 5 years I am here working alone, but the challenges which I have faced initial days was which I told earlier also, skill manpower and piloting the product. The time when I was incubated at IIT Guwahati with limited resources, I was not having a fabrication unit also. So that's the main thing, from where to get the items, how to make it and where to make it. But when it's a challenge, so you have to fight as a startup, we have to fight, and I was able to overcome all the challenges and all. So now things are moving in good directions.
It's already been covered. One of the panelists rightly brought out that you make it locally, but think globally. Think global, make it local. And there's a very, very strong agenda that you should take and you should imbibe from this discussion. I'll just quote one or two examples. There was one company that started making saris in India, and it succeeded very well, and all the people used to come try to buy sari from that place. Then those people decided, let's market it abroad also, and they tried to market that to one of the African countries, and they found that suddenly the sales dipped. So later, few years later, they realized that the saris that they're making was typically for Indian women, roughly around 5 to 5.5 feet. And according to the length of the sari, width of the sari was very, very fine-tuned to that requirement. And the country they were trying to sell, most of the women were 6 feet and even taller, and very, very well built. And half the time it was hanging like a long skirt. So, and it did not gain the popularity that they thought that probably it might gain. So you should be ready. Don't be very rigid with the idea. If you find that you are making a sweet and you want to sell it to Punjab, people are very fond of sweets and they need the rasgulla size to be bigger, please make it bigger. Okay, so be ready to pivot, be ready to diversify, be ready to change your, tweak the model slightly to make it more suitable for the kind of market that you are going to focus your product on. Another example I'll give, one of the articles recently I read where our late Prime Minister Narasimha Raoji, he was probably he was sitting in a meeting where the Prime Minister at that time said that computers are very, very new things, and probably the oldies may not be may not have that mindset to learn about computers, So let us focus on young ministers and young academia people who can bring this computer revolution to India. It was, I think, early 80s or late 70s, sometime around that. And the only person in that whole meeting who was a senior citizen was our Honorable Narasimha Rao ji. He could have either accepted it that yes, I am little too old to start learning about computers and softwares now, or he could have ignored it, but he chose to fight. He said fine. He ordered a set of computers at his own cost from US. It was a desktop, heavy, bulky, all sort of computers that you probably might see in museum somewhere. He, after his working hours, he used to spend time on computers, and by the end of a year, he had mastered 3 languages, programming languages in computers, and he was extremely proficient in computers thereafter. So it is that people here have to take everything as a challenge. What Delhiite can do, why Guwahati person cannot do? Why should Bangalore be the Silicon Valley of India? Why can't Guwahati be the Silicon Valley? What is so great in Bangalore which is not here? Are the policies more conducive to startups requirement? If that is the case, let us project. Let us see how the policies can be more fine-tuned to meet the requirements and promote startups culture locally. And that I'm so happy and excited that our Honorable Chief Minister of Assam is so vigorously processing and progressing with this growth of startup ecosystem here. So finally, the bottom line comes is that make things locally, but think globally. Think how your product can be made more appropriate to suit a wide variety of market, not just within India, but also abroad. And for that, the role of institutions, the role of our teachers, our professors is very, very important, very vital. They are the ones who connect you to the right market. They guide you to how to modify your product to meet the right market fit. And they also, at right time, would probably introduce you to investors who can come, put in money so that your startup can grow and you can see the light of the day.
So now I think we can have some questions from the audience too. If someone has a question, please raise your hand and we'll come to you.
Sir, I have a question or some my own view on that I want to display.
The thing is that to conceive an idea and then conceptualizing the product, and after that going to incubation center, and incubation centers are giving us all the support and everything. But after that, one challenge is the sustainability, and that is because of the scaling of the product. Because if you produce a few only, then probably we cannot go up to the global level. So here, one of the biggest challenge for the entrepreneurs, what I feel is that how to scale up the product, and for that the support we need and some kind of hand-holding it is required from some more matured organizations and concerns. And if the incubation centers can also make a link to the startups, the new entrepreneurs, to the who they are the veterans, and some linking can be made and the scaling up can be made, then will that be possible? Just this is my question. That means will it be possible? Professor P.K. Bhatwari from NIT Silchar, Mechanical Engineering Department.
Very appropriate, sir, very rightly brought out. So one thing that has started is that all the good incubators, it is their duty and they are getting paid for it to ensure that they have right set of mentors, right skill set and right set of guidance which can be provided to the startups who are there with them. So it should not be a job of a startup who's moved to say TRL 4 or 5, or is at say mature TRL 8 or 9, it's not for him to sort of keep scouting for investments and keep trying to access what are the government schemes which are available, who can provide financing opportunities for them. So it should be the duty of the incubator to ensure that they provide the right connects at the right time to the startup. So when he's at say ideation stage, he should be introduced to good technical mentor who gives them that your idea is workable provided you do these things. At a slightly higher technology readiness level, they should be introduced to the mentors who would discuss the commercial aspect of it. What all tests and validations you need to do? What are the clinical trials that your product should undergo before you think that your product can hit the market? And eventually towards the end, they need more mentors who are more finance oriented, who can give the proper finance guidance. So all this under one umbrella should be given, provided by the incubators and incubation centers which are there. So that is one which can be supported through the incubation centers. The other part is where you brought out that the startups have to scale up. So here I would like to give a small suggestion to the startups or who are budding entrepreneurs who are thinking of opening their own enterprises, that there are two ways to start. One is indigenize what is existing probably but being brought from outside. You can think, can there be indigenous substitute for it? If there can't be any substitute, then can you reverse engineer and make the same product, or can you indigenize that product? If that is one, it's a very good way to start because you already have a market for that product. Right now, somebody else is filling that gap. Tomorrow, probably some startup from Northeast might be filling that gap. So, indigenization is one aspect where risk-averse startups can start looking into, who do not want to take risk, follow a guided path. They can probably look into indigenization. The second aspect is innovation, where you want to think of something which is entirely different. You might succeed, you may not succeed, risks are far too many. The kind of mentoring support that you would require from academia and mentors would again be immense. Yes, that has a certain risk. So eventually coming to the requirement where you need to scale up your product. So for the cases where you already have a requirement from the market for a certain product, for example, there are various organizations who put up on their website a requirement for a certain products that we want, say, unmanned underwater vehicle. So this kind of a requirement, for example, if it comes from, say, disaster relief management system or any of the naval organizations, Indian Navy's asking for, say, unmanned underwater system where you can send a robot inside and it can take images and it can probably even measure the depth and tell you what is the depth all along the coast, so that you can do the mapping of the coastline, and accordingly you can find out where are my navigation channels, which are the paths where my ships will have enough depth to go. Now this entire northeast region, why I am talking about this is that this is also the area where inland waterways has got a huge potential. We can circumvent entire going through from West Bengal to coming to northeast through Brahmaputra river by simply following a much shorter route, provided we promote the inland waterways. We have navigation through our inland channels. So wherever such problem statements are listed by organizations, if you want to start a startup, home on to one of the problem statements where you think is a low-hanging fruit where you can quickly deliver, please work on that. The second aspect is where it's a suo motu proposal idea emerging from the startup, from entrepreneur, where you've thought that I want to make something like this. And then you start with the guidance of mentors, with the guidance of academia, how to work on that product. And then eventually you will have to create a market fit for that. So like in Sanskrit, there's one slok, just in the lighter sense. It says, नग्न छपड़ के देशे रजका किम करष्यति, and it means that नंगे साधुओं के देश में तो भी क्या करेगा. So when you make a product, it's a suo moto product which you made, and now you are at the end of it, when you made a product and you want to scale up, but there's no buyer for it. So either you have the capability to create market for that, you should be able to sell clothes to sell comb to a baldy, or if you are not able to do that, you don't have that capability and do not want to take the risk, then follow a guided path, which is where the problem statement is already there from any government organization. Work towards it, meet your meet the requirements of the product and deliver. So that's, I think, is a solution what comes to my mind, where you have to deliver a product and you will not find any hurdles while you want to scale up, because there's already a requirement for that market.
So I will add on something on this. Mentoring is very much required, because I am not a science student. Then also I am into the water. When our first pilot plant was to be fabricated, it was 5,000 liter per hour drilling effluent. We have not seen the drilling site altogether in the initial days. That is the reason that mentoring is required. The way the professors guided us, the way the All India basically people held us is required. And second is market study. Market study we have to do. The pain points which we are looking, what are the pain points? After completion of my piloting of that 5,000 liter per hour, which was huge elephant for me as a startup. Now I have to scale down it, because I know for All India I have to tender. I am not following in the tender norms and all. So what I did, I choose the other part, arsenic fluoride. These are again the main pain points now. So now I have come down to 500 liter per hour, 10,000 liter per day, let's say, or 15,000 liter per day plant. So I have seen the market. I'm entering to the market in that way. So market study and mentoring is required on tremendous.
So just as supplement, as you said, the cost of production may not be attractive if you are making few samples. India is plagued with the problem where everybody wants to own a factory. So there are enough factories to make your prototypes into a commercial success. So we just need to find it out. If not here, it will be in Coimbatore. If not in Coimbatore, it will be in Sakinaka in Mumbai. But there are enough factories in India who have set up the capacity. They don't have a market. That's why if you see all the startups who are becoming successful, they don't have their own production facilities. They're all doing outsourcing. But what they have is the customer connect. So I think more than the product fascination, we need to have the market fascination. So if that is there, the products are secondary. So.
Another can be complementing each other. That can also help. Say I have A, you have B, and together it may be something C or E also, like that.
So in the incubation center, that perspective also we can get. Now, say I am coming today to the one incubation center, and next day you are coming, and there we will be complementing each other. Then that way, that incubation centers can help.
Absolutely, the collaboration is, I think,
so
the first
attempt
of any incubation center.
Exactly. Thank you, all the panelists.
Any other questions? Thank you so much, sir. It was really nice to have all your diverse ideas and suggestions on all the different topics that we covered today. So with this, we come to the end of today's panel discussion. Now, I request the PART team to kindly distribute the souvenirs to our panelists.
There can't be a bigger privilege than being designated by the department's professor as a student. We, throughout our MTech and PhD time, we never got an opportunity where our professor would even say, "Thank you, you've done a good job."
Last time startup Conclave में he facilitated me and I have viral that photo, sir.
So is it famous like
Yes.
Thank you. Otherwise, I'm famous here.
speak to sir. It will be helpful for your details. Okay. So thank you very much.
I, Govind Madhavyas, an undergraduate student at IIT Guwahati, welcomes you all to the Northeast Research Conclave and Assam Biotech Conclave 2022. Today, we are going to have a special session with Shri Nagaraja Prakasam, a versatile and passionate leader with around 3 decades of global experience. Retired from full-time work at age of 41, he now enjoys growing startups across the country by being a mentor and an investor to them. He is partner at Acumen from New York and has also served as an independent director in one of its portfolio companies. Now I would request CEO of Guwahati Biotech Park, IAS Kailash Karthik sir, to kindly felicitate our guest.
So I see a lot of students, right? So whenever I see students, I love to ask questions. Can I ask questions? Yeah? How many of you can sing? How many of you can sing a song? Huh? Everybody? No? Nobody? They're discussing with their friends, right? What is the session? Yeah? That there is something about entrepreneurship. This guy is asking to sing a song. I go to first standard classroom, right? I ask the same question, what happens? What will happen? Everybody will raise their hand, right? They will jump up and down, right? That I want, me, right? What happened to us? Right? You all went to first standard, right? You have a certificate. Huh? So when you are 6-year-old, right, you never bothered about these things. But now you are turning this side. I saw that everyone is talking to their friends. That, asking, oh, hey, you are a bad singer, don't raise your hand, he's going to pull you. It's a tricky question, right? All these things went in your head. That's called voice of judgment. When you're a 6-year-old, you never had these things. You just never thought, right? You just stood up, start singing. So what this has to do with entrepreneurship, right? That's what I'm going to come back to, right? When you find an idea, right? When you're talking about solving some problem and you're going to tell people that I'm going to work on this problem and solving this, then what the others will say, this won't work in Guwahati, right? It worked in Bangalore, but Guwahati, nothing will happen here. Assam, nothing will happen. Northeast, we have this problem. So like this, people will discourage you. So that's what you have to behave like a 6-year-old, right? I'm sure some of you heard me. Yeah, these guys are bored, right? If you see all my videos, I'll have the same content, right? So that's what about being consistent on your message. All the people who heard me, they'll say, yes, sir, 2 qualifications, right? So I'm sure these guys mugged up what I tell, because they heard me quite a bit. So this is where, like a 6-year-old, right, you're not bothered about what anyone will think about your idea, what you're going to solve, what problem you're going to work on. So that's an audacity you need if you're solving a bigger problem. That's why you can become really successful. I'll give you some examples of amazing entrepreneurs who had these things. Second question, right? How many of you can hear the sunrise? Can you hear sunrise? No? No, yeah? Come on. We have beautiful campus around. I saw a lot of lakes. Huh? You cannot hear the sunrise? No? Yes? How, yeah? Birds, right? Bird chirping in the morning, right? And people are joking last night at the dinner time that we don't have birds here because I think we eat up all the birds, yeah? So this is where what this tells you, right? If you wait for your eyesight to tell you that sun is up, you are missing out all the other senses what they're talking about, what they're telling you. So this is what we call about sensitivity, right? You take a 5-year-old child and give her a toy, right? What she'll do with the toy, right? You take a 5-year-old child, give her a toy. What she'll do with the toy? Yeah, she will play. She will try to explore. She will break. She'll put it in the mouth, right? And the mom will tell that it's not edible. So she's applying all her 6 senses to understand what this toy is. So this is called childlike curiosity, right? We all had it, and we lost it today, right? The study says that after 8th standard, this creativity goes down, right? Look at when you have more gray hairs, I have 0 creativity. Yeah. So this is where about childlike curiosity. When you have it, things around you will start bothering you. You become sensitive. The more sensitive you are, the things around you will start bothering you. When it starts bothering you, you'll start figuring out why this problem exists. Then you will start wondering, can I solve it? An ordinary citizen will blame about every problem in the country on someone else, right? It is neighbor's problem, politician problem, somebody's problem, right? Always. But an entrepreneur never blame anybody. He identifies a problem, he'll start solving it. So that is why it is, to become an entrepreneur, all you need is 2 qualifications. You need to have an ability to sing a song. That means that when more and more people say that your idea is bad, pathetic, don't listen to them. You have like a 6-year-old start singing a song. How bad it is, whether A.R. Rahman is going to give you audition or not, doesn't matter, right? So the first question is about, first you need to identify the problem. For that you got to be very, very, very sensitive. If you're not sensitive, the problem doesn't bother you, and you start copying. So that's what I categorize the Indian startup 3 categories, right? The first startup is copy. They copy about what is happening in US, what is happening in China, and they start building a business plan based on that, right? Look at e-commerce. How many e-commerce sites are there, right? So 2000 Amazon started, right? 2015 e-commerce picked up. So why it took 15 years for Amazon or e-commerce to pick up in India? What is the reason? Anyone? Why it took 15 years, right? For e-commerce to pick up? Because we are a trust. Yeah, madam, go ahead.
Yeah, it took people to understand how easy it is.
Yeah, it took time. What else? What are the reason? Why it's 15 years, long time, right? Why this has not taken off? New, it's very new. Okay. What else?
Geo penetration.
Geo. Okay, we need Ambani. Okay. So until Ambani entered the scene, nothing works in the country, right? Okay. What else? Yeah, good. Stand up. Give him a clap here. He's a true Indian, yeah. Because we don't trust anybody, right? Even Ambani's brothers fighting, right? So whether you have money or not, we don't trust anybody, yeah. So how did they solve the trust problem? They said, like, who's this guy is going to take my money and run away? People did not buy. They're not confident buying tangible things. How did they solve the trust problem? Cash on delivery, right? So it was done by India Post for hundreds of years, called VPP. In old days, you'll see in the newspaper, you buy this product on VPP. You call the company, order, the postman will bring you a product and you pay him. So it took 15 years somebody to copy a technology and understand and copy India Post. Then they took off. What it tell you is just merely copying somewhere. What is working to India, it won't work. You need to understand the psychology of your customer. So that took 15 years, how bad we are in copying, right? So this is what you have to understand about being sensitive, to understand who we are. We have to understand what India is. You know what is India GDP is? Anybody? Yeah, looks like economics class, huh? 3 trillion, awesome, yeah, good people. Who said that? Awesome, very good, yeah, good. So $3 trillion, right? What is per capita income, India's? India per capita income? Yeah? Any idea? Yeah? $2,000, right? So it went down during the pandemic. Bangladesh took over us. In terms of per capita income, they have more per capita income than India. So this is where, right, when this e-commerce picked up, 2015, 85 companies started e-commerce. All of them received money. They all struggled to grow. Many of them shut down. Why? They're all targeting this 250 million who had the internet access. In India, UNICEF projected that 25% of Indian households have internet access. So they're all targeting a small portion. 1 billion was ignored. So that is the reason many of these e-commerce companies started, funded, all that, it struggled. So to do a business in India, we need to understand where we stand. With the $2,000 per capita income, right? If you are making more than 1 rupee above 1,30,000, 40,000, you are rich in this country, right? Is it good or bad? It's really bad. We are a low-income country. We compare ourselves with China. China is with around $14 trillion, right? With $7,000, $8,000 per capita income. It's an upper middle income country. But the 250 million we target, right? The internet people, this is like a US population. But what is US GDP is $20 trillion. So 250 million or 300 million makes 20 trillion, which is around 6-7 times more than what 1.3 billion makes. So for us to understand the problem is very important, then only you can solve this appropriately. Otherwise, we are creating problems and solving things which may not be appropriate, right? That's why the second category of startups. There are amazing people solving super problems. I'll give you one example from Manipur. Elijah came to IIM Bangalore. He's the first from his region to have an MBA degree from IIM Bangalore. And he went to Bangalore. Only thing was, okay, how can I get a placement, get a big job and settle in US? But he saw in the entrepreneur itself that people are solving agriculture problems. He said, wow, what is this startup thing? I want to look at, understand. And he started a student venture while he was studying. So he told them about identify the products. He said, I want to help my farmers in Manipur. He's from Senapati area in Mao. And he identified in the 2 years while they're learning 23 produce. Only Manipur knows. Nobody in the world knows. And we connected with the ICR system, Indian Council of Agriculture Research, wild apple, right? That's the one product in Manipur. Everybody eats during the season 3 times a day. Only 30% of that is picked up, 70% goes as waste. So now the ICR scientists helped him to convert into a candy. He's exporting this candy to UK now. This is about identifying local problems, right? And working on it deeper. This is one product, wild apple. What he did, he put in a cold storage, 20 ton of wild apple during the season. So I was talking to him like a few months back. We are glad that we are having this session in IIT Guwahati. So we have this initiative by Government of India called Kisan Mitra. So I'm advising KSA office. They picked up technology developed in IITs, ICAR, CSIR to take it to the farmers. So at the same time, we will have these startups come with problems. So Elijah came to one of the session and asked, I need a drone. Then people are asking, why do you need a drone? He said that in Manipur, I have to go down, right? They pick a wild apple, they put it in their head and they have to come up. He said it's so heavy and very tough to go down, only 30% get picked up. He said, I want a drone, that drone should go down. This lady will tie up 100 kg of wild apple, it should pick it up to the road. Right? So donor was there, he said, we'll connect with IIT Guwahati and we'll work on it. So this afternoon I had a lunch with the person from technology board. They're already working on this drone for this entrepreneur, for Manipur. So this is about identifying the local problem, right? If you're not sensitive enough, if you're not listening to the sunrise, you're not going to find the problems around you. And thinking in a global level, standard-wise, look at Elijah, right? He picked up the wild apple, now he's exporting to UK. And he wanted a drone for logistics. And he's able to reach out to IIT Guwahati, they build me a drone that do that. So today I was talking to Professor Sastry, and he gave the feedback, the fan one, right? The quad drone. He said that won't work. We need a Reaper, right? He just sent me a picture today that this is a Reaper, I'm going to make it for Elijah. So this is what you can do about what is this place can do for you. So this is about social entrepreneurship, right? You are not only picking up a simple problem while you're solving how it's going to impact people, right? How you're going to impact other part of the planet. This is what we call about social business. What I'm wearing is banana fiber, right? It is developed in Assam. 3 years back, I came here for a startup, Assam launched by the Chief Minister. I was very glad to hear that Assam has signed up for SDG. So it's very, very interesting, the net fee worked about what can I do with the banana, right? You're not only selling the banana, the farmers, but the stem is available. The stem is used for making many baskets and stuff like that, but nobody tried a fabric. So NetWeave worked on almost 2 years with the weavers, with the NID and all the people, and they developed this. This line is dotted line, it's banana. It looks like a silk. It's cotton and banana mixed. So I had been wearing this for last 3 years, amazing product. So this is about, again, a waste banana stem that is going waste in Assam. If you know that banana, you know about in Assam, that banana mandi. It's the largest in Asia, right? So that much banana you have. Only Banana Research Institute is in Assam. Second one is in Tiruchi, Tamil Nadu. So that much banana is growing there, and how much waste you have. So from this waste, they are able to develop a product. So what I'm wearing is about handlooms. So this is what we call a sustainable fashion, right? Well, compared with the polyester, what you're wearing, you cannot recycle it. It end up in landfill. But this is now become a sustainable fashion. Go co-op. Another entrepreneur, Shiva. Shiva looked at his village, and weavers are reducing every day, right? Because nobody wear handloom today. But he looked at this problem. He said, I want to support, there are 50,000 cooperatives, 24,000 cooperatives are there, 9 million weavers in the country. He took this product and he's selling it as premium. He is selling it as sustainable fashion, because compared to the power loom machine made shirt, what you're wearing most of you, it has a less carbon, right? And he's telling that story to the overseas customer, saying that this product is made by hand. This is khadi. That means that though machine is used even making the yarn, and then tell the story with the QR code. If you look at that in my back, I have hashtag I love handlooms. He tells the story to people about wearing handloom and being sustainable fashion, and he's able to popularize this statement. He's not putting a poor weaver picture and that please buy this sari from this weaver, but he says that by wearing this shirt, you are being a responsible global citizen, you are wearing a sustainable fashion, you are saving carbon. There's one startup now working on putting a device to the loom so that you can even calculate the carbon it utilized to make this shirt, compared with the power loom, so that the weavers can get the carbon credit. Elon Musk makes $1 billion selling carbon credit to people. But how about 9 million weavers today, right? Lakhs and lakhs of organic farmers. So this is what we have to start thinking completely different. Work on the strength of Northeast. Northeast strength is what? The natural beauty that you have. That's what I was telling this morning as well. I told in Meghalaya as well as Assam 3 years back, Northeast should probably do an oxygen tax to the rest of the India, right? You are producing enough oxygen for the rest of the country, but for that you need to get rewarded. So that means that ideas that you are bringing out, you don't need to emulate what is happening in South, what is happening in the rest of the world, but you have to find unique solution like this. How can we make from banana fiber, can we make fabric? Because compared to cotton, it has a lower carbon footprint. And it become a sustainable fashion. You can save on carbon credits that can be passed on to the farmer and the weaver. Like the Elijah has done. What is the beauty of Northeast? Start looking at the wild apple, identify the nutrient values, export to UK. Like this, you have a natural beauty is one area. Anything agriculture produced from Northeast should be expensive, right? Should be premium. The last time I was in Manipur, some area, they were growing pineapple. See, the pineapple grows in Bangalore as well, right? Why do we need to grow pineapple in Northeast? Grow exotic produce that, because logistics is very expensive. I remember going from Assam to Meghalaya. There are 600 trucks was parked in the border, right? Logistics is the problem. So that means that everything coming out of Northeast should have very, very high premium product. That means that should be value added. In Sikkim, I was there in the ginger processing, right? There's one startup, what she has done, she analyzed the ginger of Sikkim. Compared with the rest of the country, she analyzed that Himalayan ginger is very unique. And she built the nutrition value. And the ginger used to come from Sikkim area, Joretong to Siliguri. Even that gets washed in Siliguri. She said, why we have to bring this ginger to Siliguri to wash it? Why can't you process on the hill itself? They built the organic factory in the hill itself. It get processed, ginger flakes are made, that's get exported. So that means the economy stays there. When you do a value addition on any product, the economy is staying there itself, right? You're not moving the raw material out. So that means that anything coming out of Northeast should be premium because it is grown in this pristine area, right? Meghalaya, if you look at, you have your, haldi, which has a higher curcumin content. In Assam, you have a black garlic, which is very, very unique. But how are we marketing it? How are we value adding it? Utilize these technologies. People like Biotech Park is there, IIT is there. You have all these ICR institutions that they can add value add to these products so that you can start taking this product into the market. So one is about agri-produce. The second is about crafts, right? When I came to Northeast last 3 years, I've been there many times. So I asked people about one question that I don't see woolen, right? If you go to Himachal, people wearing wool sweaters, but I don't see wool in Northeast a lot. So the answer came to me as the form of eri silk, right? The eri silk is so thick. Traditionally, people in Northeast were using eri silk for managing their winter, right? The coldness. So that is the best kept secret because it's a wildly grown. It's very tough to get it. So nobody is able to take this about eri silk and position as an amazing product across the world. So crafts, right? That could be the second part. The third part, when I was here last time, I stayed in East Gaurav Hills, same way in Mao as well, 2 days. This villages are so awesome. It's like a clean oxygen that you can get, right? Morning, you go to the village, that person, he was serving me rice wine as a breakfast. And he was telling the entire process how he's making rice wine. This could be a high-end tourism, right? So low-end tourism should be avoided in Northeast. Anybody coming there should be able to spend lakh or 2 lakh a week. Then only you can preserve this pristine area, right? So from Northeast, whatever we do should be premium. High-end tourism, premium agri-produce, premium crafts coming out. This itself can keep that SDG goals as well as keep this sustainability towards what we are able to achieve. So that's where I'm very glad this conference titled as Sustainable Science and Technology. I've been talking to the professors all through 2 days. Amazing kind of technology they have developed. But all of you students, entrepreneurs, you can start looking at these technologies and how can you build a sustainable business rather than looking at copying from US, let me build a e-delivery startup and e-vehicle, ride sharing, all this thing or doctor booking, this and that. It's all copied from US, Bangalore copies, you copy from Bangalore. But you have to be unique in the solution you make. So I'll give you an example about this flask I'm carrying, ED4. So this is a bunch of people from Delhi and they realized that India speaks 700 languages, only 2 million speak English, 1 billion people do not speak English. So they went to IIT Chennai, they said, we want to develop a speech recognition technology that can recognize Indian languages. They developed for 100 dialects and 16 Indian languages. So in farmers, 24 lakh farmer in Tamil Nadu get a voice call. From converting the weather forecast from English to Tamil, they get the call. The farmer can ask question, he'll respond in Tamil. Tribal women in Gujarat can take their phone and do a bank transaction using their voice because many languages do not have a script. And each one have a unique voice, like your iris and your fingerprint. Your voice is unique. So your voice is your password. They developed the technology on this, right? And 5-year-old startup, nobody funded him, but he was on it. So we funded him probably, I like his perseverance. We invested in him, he got recognized by Time magazine as 13 millionaires who are changing the world. Right? Only one person from India is Umesh. So MIT gave him an Innovator Award as well. And there he found one of this company called Cisco. It's one of the technology company chairman. He invested $10 million in this company. A Chennai-based company. He took it to US and he's telling that he is the world's best in speech recognition. Solving a simple Indian's problem. And he's able to create a world's best technology company competing with Google. If you know speech recognition, you have Alexa, right? Amazon, Google, Microsoft. $9 billion is Microsoft R&D budget. But one small startup from Chennai is competing with them. They are a global leader. Why? They picked up a simple problem that India faced. They started solving at 98% accuracy. 5 years he was waiting, he was listening to 25,000 hours of Indian voice.